Hello and welcome to a Blaseball Statistical History, a look at the Yellowstone Magic's development across the expansion era. The Magic started the discipline era strong, competing in the postseason, and then had a few competitive seasons following, but for the majority of the time, they found themselves near the bottom of the league. As they enter the expansion era, their roster is mostly unremarkable. They have one great pitcher and a few strong batters, but overall, nothing special. This they prove, finishing 15th in the league. They do appear in the first seasonal reading, as their star pitcher Curry Alicia Keys gains the over-under modification. Both Sun 2 and Black Hole Weather work against the team, and they suffer 2 blood rain drains. But Feedback Weather swaps one of their pitchers for Jalen Hotdog Fingers, who has twice as many stars, and when they feedback out, the team gain James Morra, who is also an improvement. On top of this, they get to enjoy 10 parties, and Oscar Dolly spends less than a day elsewhere. In the election, they alternate their worst pitcher, who they then send to the Flowers in exchange for King Weatherman. They also win a blessing, re-rolling their worst hitters. The events of Season 12 were very beneficial, as the Magic's lineup now looks a bit more healthy. But the main change is their rotation, which is now quite powerful. This is reflected as they move up the league. They even gain a win from Sun 2, although Black Hole Weather remains against them. There are 2 trips to Elsewhere, and also an incineration to face, but it is followed by 6 parties. They use their wills to bring a new batter to the lineup, and infuse a different one. There is a distinct improvement in the lineup, despite the incineration's damage. And Season 14 is a triumph for the Magic, as they finish 2nd in the league, entering their first postseason since Season 1. However, they are knocked out in the League Series by the eventual champions, the Moist Talkers. Sun 2 blesses them with 2 wins. 3 players take trips elsewhere, including one who decides to miss out on the postseason, and the Magic face their first consumer attack. In the election, they opt to make a change to their lineup, and grant a player the homebody modification. They also win 2 blessings, boosting some of their batters and removing all allergies from their players. They head into Season 15 with 2 players elsewhere, but the players who are present are ready to go. The teams struggle this season, although they finish in the top half of the league. They both gain and give away a win via Sun 2, and their missing players return from elsewhere, whilst another takes a 64-day holiday. But it only gets worse for the Magic, as they have 2 consumer attacks and a negative blood rain, alongside 7 of their players being observed, 3 multiple times, which results in 3 of their team being redacted. Kurt Kruller was the first player to be redacted by entering the secret base, a new ballpark modification, and was the first redacted player to reappear, as they exited the secret base in a different game on the same day with the modification Attractor. The team do get 1 party as well. The election sees them attempt to regain a redacted player, which doesn't work, and makes the player unstable, but they do boost a pitcher. 2 more blessings give them the after-party modification and a boost for a batter. The Magic is now a very short team, but the players that remain have a lot of power. Despite their loss of players, they hold their position in the league, finishing joint 9th. They feature in another seasonal reading, seeing their pitcher James Morra lose the Super Yummy modification. Sun 2 forsakes them, but Black Hole Weather changes its mind and activates for them twice. There is a whole team reverb, then 2 more players are observed, and both get redacted. But one gets a party in before disappearing. In the election, their wills allow them to move a player from the rotation to the lineup, and swap a pitcher with the Shadows. They win 3 blessings, as many of their players gain shoes, but having gained shoes, none of them then have space for gloves. They also move a player to their Shadows. Season 17 sees an extremely reduced team, which features a great rotation and a variable lineup. Despite this, the Magic dominate the season, finishing top of the league. They head into the postseason where they are unfortunately eliminated in the Division Series by the Fridays. Black hole weather turns against them, and their star pitcher takes a 9-day trip to elsewhere. But on a positive, of the 3 consumer attacks, they are able to defend against 2, and there are 2 positive blood rains. As in Season 12, Jalen pops by due to feedback, sending Inky Rutledge to the Shoe Thieves, and replacing them with Kravel Gesundheit from the Mechanics. In the election, with their wills, they choose to swap a player with the Tacos, and bring a player into their lineup from the Shadows. They also win a blessing, returning one of their redacted players to them. The team has expanded, and added more batting power to their lineup. However, they drop down the league to 9th, unable to make the most of it. Both Black Hole and Sun 2 are against them, and there's a negative blood rain. One player spends a third of the season elsewhere, and there are 5 consumer attacks, 3 of which are defended against. The Magic also get 2 parties. Their friends grant them 3 gifts, soul patches and 2 items. In the election, they infuse a Shadows pitcher before bringing them onto the rotation. The Tacos choose to reverse the player swap that happened last season, and the Jazz Hands want to trade. The Magic win 2 blessings, one sorting their lineup by musclitude, and one boosting the team's base thirst. They also gain Evelton McBlaze II, who roams over from the Firefighters. The rotation change means their pitchers are a force to be reckoned with, and the lineup opens with the strongest batters, but does tail off in strength. Yet it works out for the Magic, as in Season 19, being bad is good, and they finished 3rd in the league, heading into another postseason. They reach the League Series before being eliminated by the Garages. They join the rest of the league in the seasonal reading, as Tiana Wheeler becomes uncertain. Sun 2 is not on their side, but Black Hole is a neutral party. Tiana faces a consumer attack, and Francisco Preston spends 1 day elsewhere. This season, the team received 3 gifts, opting for a replica of Goodwin Morin to make one player ambitious and give the whole team home field advantage. This season, they used their wills to infuse a Shadows player and make a swap with the Lift. The Jazz Hands changed their mind about last season's trade, and the team win a blessing as the whole roster's defence is boosted. The rotation continues to get stronger, but the lineup is starting to catch up. However, the Magic slide down to 18th in the league. They get wildcarded into the postseason, where they are immediately knocked out by the Mechanics. Sun 2 is against them, but Black Hole for them, as the team also face a whole roster reverb. There are 4 trips to elsewhere, including an open-ended one, and 2 consumer attacks. On the positive side, the team get 2 positive blood rains and 15 parties. They also gain Jesus Koch, who roams to them from the Moist Talkers courtesy of 5th base, but then pops it down and decides to stay. Courtesy of the Monitor's free gift, they get 4 in Season 20, gaining 3 items and becoming early to the party. Their wills are used to steal the force field of observation for James Mora, keeping them on the team, but also at risk of redaction. And they re-roll Tiana Wheeler's attractor modification. They also win 2 blessings, granting 2 players a bat and allowing them to steal Wyatt Glover from the Wild Wings, who started the era on the Magic. The team is almost back to standard size, and the star power is filling out. They make a surge up the league this season, finishing in 10th overall. They gain 3 wins from Black Hole and 13 from Sun 30. Only 1 player makes a trip elsewhere, and all 5 consumer attacks are defended against. The Magic have their first experience of voicemail, as it makes 4 changes to the lineup. There are 2 negative blood rains, and 1 player has an allergic peanut reaction, but the team also gets 5 parties. However, on day 99, James Mora is declared an MVP for the 5th time, and becomes legendary, getting removed from the team and placed in the vault. This season, the team received 3 gifts, soul patches, an item, and once again becoming early to the party. In the election, they use their wills to move a player to their rotation and to swap a Shadows player into the lineup. They win 3 blessings, calling the alternates for all of their Shadows players, and their 2 most E-dense players become negatives. The Magic look like a strong team, but they also have lots of item modifications in play. Season 22 sees them drop down to joint 22nd, as they qualify for the underbracket, which they are knocked out of in the Division Series by the Millennials. They gain 4 wins from the Black Hole, and 7 from Sun 30, but Sun 2 only activates for their opponents. 2 players make trips elsewhere, and Voicemail makes another lineup change. Baldwin Breadwinner pops by with the 5th base for 9 days before heading off to the Tigers. The Thieves Guild steals 2 Shadows players from the Wild Wings, and the team get 2 parties. But for the 2nd season running, they lose a player to the Vault. Magic only received 2 gifts this time, becoming fireproof and gaining an item. Due to finishing so low, the Magic get 3 wills, which they use to bring a player out of the Shadows, magnify a player, and steal an item. They win 4 blessings, 3 of which they use by stealing yet another attractor, this time from the Firefighters, making a player swap with the Moist Talkers, and flipping their entire roster. They are also affected by 3 blessings, as they send a Shadows player to the garages, and see players become skipping and a subtractor, at the hands of the Worms and Fridays. Magic's 4th blessing granted all of their Shadows players items with the Trader modification. The team have lost a pitcher to the Vault, but gained a batter via 5th base. There are still some weaknesses in the lineup. Magic remain at the bottom of the league, qualifying for another underbracket, which they lose their way through to be named champions. Gaining 7 wins from Sun 30 did not help their standing, and a negative blood rain was also no help. 4 players took trips to elsewhere, whilst Fax Machine and Voicemail attempted to support by making 3 pitching changes and 2 batting changes. A night shift sees another lineup change, and the Breath Mints steal a Shadows player, but there are 9 parties among the madness. The team get 2 gifts, becoming early to the party and seeing several items gain the A-dense element. Of the party favours, the Magic opt to become roamless, and they join the rest of the league in being under review. They win a blessing, magnifying the whole team, and also send a Shadows player to the Tacos. As they enter the final season of the era, the Magic are very strong overall, apart from the change made by the night shift. In the chaos of Season 24, the Magic finish 5th in their new division of the Desert, and 9th of the original 24 ILB teams. They gain 1 win from Black Hole, 3 from Sun 2, and 2 from Sun 30. They face 10 consumer attacks, only able to defend against 3 of them, and Francisco Preston takes 2 trips elsewhere. Fax Machine makes 5 changes to the rotation, as Kravel Gesundheit moves in and out of the Shadows, and Voicemail makes 1 change to the lineup. Another night shift happens, altering the lineup again. The Thieves Guild steals a Shadows player from the Millennials, and 1 player is unstable but survives it. The Magic also manage time to have 1 party. The Magic move with intention during Season 24, heading directly for the desert, then joining the desert bus for Wrath in charging the coin, before returning to their original destination, where they end the era. In the expansion era, the Magic faced 1 incineration, 4 feedbacks and 2 reverbs, but they did also make the most of 53 parties. They had 1 allergic peanut reaction, and more negative blood rains than positive, landing at 7-4. Black Hole was more positive, with 14 in their favour to 6 against, but Sun 2 swings back the other way, with 8 positive to 11 negative. The Magic had no shelled players, and just 1 instability, but they top their division with the most observed and redacted players, at 13 and 5. They also had the most night shifts, with 2. They had 8 each of Voicemail and Fax Machine, and their Thieves Guild worked hard to steal them 3 new players, only conceding 1 in return. 23 players took trips to elsewhere, with the longest stay lasting 64 days. They gained 29 wins from Sun 30, but also faced 29 consumer attacks. Their Arcana the Magician appeared in 3 seasonal readings. They played in 4 postseasons, once as a wild card, but didn't win any, their highest finish being the League Series. But they also played in 2 underbrackets and won one of them. They were given 23 gifts, used 23 wills, and won 21 blessings, the most in mild low. At the end of the era, the team is scattered. The rotation remains full of power, but the lineup is gappy. Thank you for joining me for another Blaxplanation. I'll be back with more Blaseball fun and facts soon, but until then, rejoice, play ball.